Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Ecos, First Continent. So this game is set up as a 3-player game. The 2-player game starts with some slight variations on how many cards are open at the beginning and what the combinations of cards are. The sets of cards that are being used are looking at the icon on the bottom left corner. So everyone has a similar size deck, but every different icon gives a different type or style of play. What this game is about is building up this area to be able to do different things, to release animals onto various areas. You know if you have an animal that can be on an area by looking at the little marker. So this little marker means that this guy can only be in the sea, which makes sense because he's a fish, whereas this one can go in the sea area or in the grassland, and this one can go in the grass or the desert. So each of the animals tell you which type of terrain they can live on. You will have cards that will enable you to put mountains onto a space. You can put them onto either desert or grass. You have tiles that will allow you to put trees on. Grasslands can hold one tree. If there is a mountain on that grassland, the mountain can hold a second tree. So theoretically, that is how big a space could get to. Desert cannot hold trees unless there's a mountain there, in which case that can also have a tree on it. These things are important because some animals need various things to be on. So, for example, the gorilla needs to be on a space with mountains and the leopard on a space with trees. So when you're trying to place an animal, you can only place the animal on a hex that is empty from other animals. So if you wished to put a fish in onto that spot, that is absolutely fine. If you wish to put another fish in, or a shark or another sea animal, it cannot go in on that hex. It has to go in on this hex. And that's the same for all hexes and the way they work. So how does the game play? I'm glad you asked. On their turn, one player will grab a tile out of this bag. That tile will show an icon. Everyone at the table will then mark that icon. The way you mark that icon is you take one of the cubes and you put that over a matching symbol. The other option that you have if you don't wish to mark the icon, or if you can't mark the icon, is you may turn your starting mat around. What that does is, by turning it once, you're able to grab one more cube, or you're able to play one more card out of your hand. So let's say he played that one, and then that turns straight back. The other option is you could just leave it, not play a card at all, and not take a cube. Then wait until the next tile is dragged out, and instead of placing a cube, also turn your mat. It doesn't have to be the very next turn, it could be a few turns in. And that allows you to then gain one new card out of one of those decks. Just so you're aware, the blue deck tends to be more for scoring, and the red one tends to be more for building up what the actual map looks like. Once you've taken the action, then flick that straight back to the start. It is possible to play the game without ever taking any extra cards, so just be aware of that. This will continue until the person dragging tiles out of the bag gets one of these. This is a wild tile, which means that everyone at the table is able to mark absolutely anything they wish. Once that's happened, all of the tiles drawn will go back into the bag, and the bag is then passed to the next player, and they become the start player. At any point, and the reason for having a start player is at any point, if someone manages to fill up one of their cards, they can now action that card. And the reason to have a start player is if multiple players fill up their cards at the same time, the person who's drawing the tiles will be the start player, so they get to do theirs first, followed by the next, followed by the next, because what one person does may directly affect what the next person is able to do. For example, they may put animals out and therefore stop the other person from being able to put their animals out. The next person around can choose not to do the action. If you choose not to do the action, you can remove the tile that you've just placed, back onto your board and switch it around to be able to take that action if you wish, or wait till the next time you switch it around to get the extra card. So if this person is actioning this card, what that now allows him to do is you work from the top of the card down. So that adds a desert or a sea, and he might add a sea, for example. It can go anywhere, by the way, but he'll put that there to make that a larger sea area. Then he gains 4 points. That symbol is for points if it's adjacent to water and land, so either desert or grassland. So this one was adjacent to both, so I got the 4 points. And then he gains 1 extra thing. So what he can now do is, that's a wild card looking one, he can now add that to one of his other cards. He can't add that to this card again, but you can add to another card. If the next card is filled up by adding that 1, you would then go on to do that extra card. But before you do, make sure that you turn the card that you've just actioned clockwise. We're looking now at the number of leaves at the top. This card has 3 leaves. This card has 4 leaves. What that means is this card is going to action 3 times. So it's just been actioned once. We turn there. So it shows we can action that again and turn again, action it a 3rd time and turn again. There's no more leaves, so that would then get discarded. If this is now filled up, we now gain a manatee, which goes into one of the sea spots. We gain a cube. We gain a wild and one of those markers. I can't do anything with those markers, but he might be able to cover that up. So he can cover up the previous card off this card, but he can't do the card itself. And he could turn that and maybe take another cube. And then we continue on playing. Or we wait till the next person has done this, the next person does this, and then continue playing. With the score counter, once one of the players gets up to 80, or if you're playing a shorter game, 60, that doesn't finish the game. What that does is says that we are now in the last round. The last round will finish when the current person who's pulling tiles pulls that one, showing that they have finished their round. So it would normally get passed on, but that is the end of the game. Just to confirm, when you are moving animals, animals would move because of a card's action. For example, if the player has this card, they will place a shark onto the map, gain 5 points, then move the shark up to 4 spaces, and removing any animals in those spaces, gaining 4 points per animal removed. So theoretically, that's actually worth 16 plus 5, so 21 points total for this card. You then gain a card, which is gained from that deck into your hand, and then you play a card. It doesn't have to be the same. This is a once-only card, but what this allows you to do is move the animal. Be aware, when you're moving the animal, water animals cannot go on land, but if it's a desert animal, it can move into the grassland, but obviously can't move into the sea unless it is also a water animal. Look, I think that is it for ECOS First Continent. Please go ahead and watch my gameplay to get a feel for how the game actually plays. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games that I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.